Friday, August 1st, in Salem, the city holds its breath. Secrets rattle the walls of every home, desires collide with loyalty, and the shadow of the phoenix looms over the DiMera family. Tonight, 5 stories intertwine, from an unexpected entrapment to a grandmother's rising suspicion, and the fragile threads of love and betrayal stretched to the breaking point. This Friday isn't just another day in Salem. It's the beginning of something bigger, darker, and perhaps irreversible. Let's unravel the explosive drama awaiting us on this fateful night. Chad DiMera walked into the old storage wing of the DiMera building expecting nothing more than a routine check. A simple task, a quick in and out. But in Salem, fate rarely plays fair. The heavy metal door slammed shut behind him with an echo that seemed to swallow the air. Chad spun around, his pulse quickening, just in time to see Cat Green's wide eyes staring back at him. At first, they both assumed it was nothing, a minor inconvenience, maybe a latch problem. But when the handle refused to budge and the lights flickered overhead, reality set in. They were locked in. The room was dim, cold, and smelled faintly of dust and oil. A single overhead light buzzed, illuminating Cat leaning against a stack of boxes like she owned the place, her arms crossed and an amused smirk on her face. "Well," she said lightly, breaking the silence, "this is cozy." Chad bristled. He ran a hand through his hair, pacing back and forth like a restless lion in a cage. "This isn't funny, Cat. If someone finds us in here, what?" She interrupted, tilting her head. "They'll think we were having fun?" Her teasing tone was like gasoline on a fire he was trying desperately to contain. Hours began to stretch into what felt like eternity. The walls felt closer. Their voices grew quieter. And soon, the tension shifted, from irritation, to something far more dangerous. Their eyes met in a lingering glance that neither of them intended. Chad's breath caught. Cat's smirk softened into something slower, more deliberate. For a brief, electric moment, it felt like the weight of the DiMera name, the family drama, the betrayals, all of it, simply vanished. In that confined space, there was only them, the pulse of temptation, and the unspoken question of what might happen if they stopped fighting it. But in Salem, secrets don't stay hidden. And if this moment turns into a mistake, the fallout could tear lives apart, forever. While Chad battles temptation in the shadows, E.J. DiMera plots in the heart of power. The DiMera mansion is silent tonight, save for the distant ticking of the grand clock and the faint whisper of history in its halls. E.J. sits in the study, perfectly composed, a crystal glass of brandy in his hand. To anyone else, he might look calm. But those who know him understand, still waters mean a storm is coming. He stares at the family portrait above the fireplace, his father Stefano's eyes seeming to watch him from beyond the grave. The legacy of the DiMeras is both a crown and a chain, and tonight, E.J. is ready to wield it like a weapon. A trusted confidant enters, and E.J.'s voice is low, deliberate, carrying the weight of authority. "I've been patient," he says, swirling the brandy slowly. "But patience has its limits. Salem has forgotten who the DiMeras are. It's time they remembered." He doesn't reveal the full plan, he never does. E.J. speaks in layers, in hints, in shadows. A corporate takeover is brewing. Perhaps a trap for old enemies, or even a strategic move to consolidate power in ways no one will see coming. On his desk lies a folder, its contents unknown, but the edge of a familiar logo peeks out, DiMera Enterprises. A move is coming, and when E.J. moves, people fall. In that moment, the study feels alive with the energy of the past. The Phoenix himself would be proud. Because in Salem, when E.J. DiMera smiles like that, someone's about to lose everything. On the other side of town, the quiet of Marlena Evans' office feels heavier tonight, as though the walls themselves are holding their breath. A single lamp casts a soft, golden glow across her desk, illuminating the worried lines on her face. Across from her, Rachel Black sits stiffly in the chair, small hands clutching the edge as if she might float away if she lets go. "Sweetheart," Marlena begins, her voice soft and deliberate, like she's talking to a frightened bird. "I need you to remember that night, the night everything changed." Rachel's eyes flicker to the floor, then to the shadows on the wall. She swallows hard. Her fingers twist the hem of her sweater, over and over, a silent metronome to her rising panic. I don't know," she whispers, her voice almost lost in the heavy air. But Marlena's eyes are trained on every subtle movement, every twitch of discomfort. Her tone remains patient, but the undercurrent is razor-sharp. She leans forward slightly, bridging the emotional distance. "Rachel, I need you to be honest with me. Did you see anyone that night? Did you do something that you can't remember now?" A tremor runs through Rachel's shoulders. Tears well in her eyes as she shakes her head, but there's hesitation. A flicker. Something unspoken. Marlena feels it like a chill crawling up her spine. Could it be true? Could her own granddaughter have pulled the trigger on DiMera in a moment of fear or rage, and then buried the memory deep inside her fragile mind? The silence grows unbearable, heavy with the weight of a possible confession that never quite comes. And when Rachel finally murmurs, I didn't mean to," it's enough to freeze Marlena's blood. In that quiet room, a dangerous truth seems to whisper itself into existence. A truth that could destroy lives, and that Salem may not be ready to face. At the Salem Inn, the low glow of candlelight flickers against the walls, and the faint hum of soft music dances through the air. Xander Kyriakis sits at the edge of the table, his posture tense, as if he'd rather be anywhere else. Across from him, Gwen von Leuschner leans in slightly, her every movement a calculated invitation. The dinner begins quietly, almost normal: salads, wine, the clink of silverware. But beneath the surface simmers a current of unspoken tension. "I saw Sarah today," Gwen says finally, her tone light but deliberate. She toys with her wine glass, eyes never leaving Xander's face. She looked happy, especially with Brady. The name hits Xander like a gut punch. He freezes for just a fraction of a second before forcing a smirk, trying to pretend it doesn't sting. But Gwen sees the flicker in his eyes, the flash of jealousy he can't quite hide. "You know," she continues, her voice dropping into a warmer, more intimate register, "maybe it's time to move on. Sarah, she's living her life. Maybe you should, too." Xander's jaw tightens. He leans back in his chair, arms crossed, as if bracing against the pull of her words. But Gwen doesn't stop. She leans closer, the candlelight catching the curve of her smile. "Or maybe," she says softly, "the person you need is right in front of you." The table between them feels smaller now, the air thicker. Xander's heart is torn, still beating for Sarah, still burning with jealousy, but also tempted by the comfort Gwen offers. Every glance, every subtle touch, is another step toward a choice he may regret. Somewhere in the corner of the dimly lit inn, the line between loyalty and betrayal blurs. And Gwen knows exactly how to guide him across it. In the warm, dim glow of the Brady pub, Sarah Horton finally allows herself a rare moment of peace. She sits across from Brady Black, a soft laugh slipping past her lips as he finishes a playful story about Rachel. For a fleeting second, the world outside disappears, the custody battles, the lies, the heartbreak, replaced by the gentle rhythm of two friends sharing solace. Brady leans back in his chair, his blue eyes warm and steady. "You deserve a break, Sarah," he says softly, his voice carrying that subtle rasp of sincerity. "After everything, you need someone to remind you you're not alone." Sarah's smile falters into something more fragile, her fingers tracing the rim of her glass. In his presence, she feels safe, maybe for the first time in weeks. Her laughter softens into a quiet sigh of relief, a silent acknowledgement that even in Salem's chaos, comfort still exists. But peace in this town never lasts. The pub door swings open with a sudden gust of night air, and Xander Kyriakis steps inside. His broad frame fills the doorway, his eyes scanning the room out of habit, until they land on Sarah. She's smiling. At Brady. The sight hits him like a punch to the gut. His chest tightens, an ache blooming beneath his ribs. He hesitates for half a heartbeat, his jaw locking as emotion threatens to betray him. Then, instinctively, he masks it all behind a smirk, that familiar armor of arrogance he wears so well. Still, the tension in his body is impossible to hide. His knuckles whiten as he grips the back of a chair, his stance rigid with jealousy and a hint of regret. Across the room, Gwen von Leuschner lingers in the shadows, her eyes glittering with satisfaction. Sarah catches Xander's gaze, and for a split second, her heart stutters. Memories flood in, the promises, the betrayals, the child they're fighting to protect. The air between the three of them grows thick, suffocating, as unspoken words and buried emotions swirl like a gathering storm. Two broken hearts, two rival lovers, and the fragile thread of loyalty stretched to its breaking point. In that quiet pub, with a single glance, a new battle begins, one of love, jealousy, and the kind of temptation that could shatter Salem all over again. As Friday draws to a close, Salem simmers on the edge of disaster. Chad and Kat are trapped in a dangerous dance with temptation. EJ's mysterious plans move closer to execution. Marlena's suspicions deepen, the DiMera shooting mystery twisting into darker territory. Xander and Gwen circle each other in a spiral of desire and deception, while Brady and Sarah hover at the edge of a scandal that could shatter everything. And in the shadows, the legacy of Stefano DiMera stirs once more, like a phoenix ready to rise. In Salem, the end of the week is never the end of the story. It's just the beginning of the storm. Stay tuned because Days of Our Lives is about to ignite.